Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries Soboto Caesar says the local fishing industry requires significant human resource investment if the sector is to advance. Minister Caesar was at the time addressing the launching of the 2015 Fishermen's Month of activities at the Fisheries Complex in capital Kingstown earlier this week. He says, as a small island developing state, the country is faced with an inhibition as it relates to the exportation of fish, and unless there is an international airport which can allow the transport of fish in the quickest possible time, there will not be significant achievements in the fisheries subsector.
Persons may have different views about where the international airport should go. They may have issues about the cost of the international airport. But I think that in the national conversation on production that we are going to have and that we are having, we must be on one, that the international airport at Argyle is of first importance if we are to move commodities such as fish out of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to reach the market in a state that is acceptable to the consumers. Once we have greater access to the markets in the United States of America, it is our view as a ministry that we will see that there are more persons who are interested to invest in the fisheries subsector.
Caesar says while mistakes have been made in the sector, they must be corrected as the country advances. And one of the issues that he would like to have looked at during this year's celebrations is the issue of equity.
There are persons who are saying today that the fishers who are going out at sea, they are not properly compensated for their job because there are disparities between the fishers and the fish vendors. And if you're having a conversation, we have to have an honest conversation, and the conversation must be frank. If there are persons within the industry who are carving out large amounts, and the persons who are putting their faces to the waves and the rough seas, they are not benefiting as they should, what we are going to have is that at the source of it, we would have discouragement and persons would not want to go and do the hard work. I am encouraging that in the conversation on production that we address the issue of equity for all stakeholders within the fisheries subsector and the fishing industry in our country.
The fisheries minister says he would also like to see a reduction in the importation of fish and fish products for 2015 and beyond.
In order for us to see a reduction in that, we have to first ensure that the price for fish in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is competitive. Because if the price is not competitive, persons will go for cheaper imported commodities. And these are some of the issues that I want us to think about so that when we have the conversation, we can reflect on them.
Meanwhile, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, Raymond Ryan, says the fisheries sector will continue to play an important role in the fight against hunger and poverty in the economic development of SVG.
It must be noted that food security is a fundamental dimension of poverty. People who are chronically poor usually lack access to adequate food, and eliminating hunger and malnutrition therefore is a precondition for the eradication of poverty. The most direct contribution of fishing activity to food security is through consumption of the whole household's catch, and certainly households engaged in full-time, seasonal, occasional and small-scale fishing activities, which contributes significantly to food security and consequently the elimination of poverty and malnutrition. The need for better harvesting technology and improved marketing and distribution systems and ancillary services are of paramount importance.
Ryan also used the opportunity to call on the private sector to take advantage of the many investment opportunities which exist within the fishing industry.
Correspondingly, there will be an increased need for effective management and conservation of fisheries resources for ensuring the conservation of aquatic biodiversity and the health and productivity of ecosystems, supporting fish and fish products. In order to meet the nutritional, social, and economic objectives of the fisheries sector, it is essential to ensure the sustainable use of wild stocks by capture fisheries and the sustainable development of aquaculture, and to minimize, of course, the negative impacts on the environment. These concepts underpin the theme for this year: 40 years of harvest, accept no less, fish is the best, and slogan, put a fish in your dish. I would also like to say finally that I want to encourage the Fishermen's Day Committee and the Fisheries Division to take a leadership role in the cleanup of seaweed from the beaches. It has an impact not only on tourism, but also on fisheries.
The 2015 Fishermen's Month of activities commenced on Thursday, April 16th, and will culminate on May 25th that should be Whit Monday with a grand event at the Caliacqua Fishing Complex. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is looking to implement the CARICOM Rapid Alert System, which will help member states alert each other to dangerous goods in circulation. Consumer Affairs, that should be Consumer Officer in the Ministry of Foreign and Consumer Affairs, Janice King, says that the responsible ministries for its implementation will inform the public more on the system as time progresses.
In the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we are part of CARICOM St. Vincent, everybody knows that, and CARICOM is now in the process of developing a system that is called the Rapid Alert System for Dangerous Non-Food Goods. That is the CARICOM part. It is not for food, it is for anything that is not food. But the OECS, which is a subset of that CARIC system, is developing their own, and that is for everything, food and non-food. And this is one way that St. Vincent and the wider Caribbean countries are ensuring that consumers are being protected in terms of food. So this system tells you that if there is any dangerous food or any other good going around the country, then we can just log into the system, and this system will alert all the member states. And I am giving this here now because we're going to have a series of consultation, and I'm sending it out to the public so that everybody would come, because everybody ought to be a part of this.
King is also advising the young people of this country to be aware of the amount of sugar and salts that are present in their foods. She says that the number of teens that have pre-hypertension and diabetes in SVG is staggering. She further implores the youths to use the technology available to their advantage to ensure their well-being and good health.
I came home with a lot of medical people, and they were saying that they were surprised to see the amount of young people in St. Vincent with hypertension and diabetes. And young men, talking to the young people here now, it is not good at age 18 to have half of a leg, because that is where it's heading. It's first, it comes with all sorts of medical problems, then it goes with your eyes, then it goes with your liver, then it goes with the kidneys, and then you start to lose limb. That is why, as consumers, we have a responsibility for our own food safety and health. So the next thing you look for on the label, you look for the content of the sugar and the salt. And if it's high in sugar and salt, you don't use it. There are substitutes. We have fruit. When your mother squeezes the orange and the lime in some water and put a little bit of sugar, brackish, it's good for you. It may not taste the best, but it's the best for your health in the long run.
Party supporters of the ruling Unity Labour Party are gearing up for its annual convention tomorrow. At the convention, to be held at the Camden Park Secondary School, all 15 candidates for the party will present themselves to the delegates. There will be a number of speakers at the opening ceremony of the convention, and according to the party, much attention will focus on the address by leader, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, who is expected to speak on a number of matters as the party prepares for the upcoming general elections. The convention is expected to get started at 9 a.m.